Life has a funny way of mixing the sweet with the bitter. That's how I describe my current life situation. I'm Emma, 27 years old, newly married to Jack, the kind of man who makes every day brighter. We live in a small house, a charming place really, left to me by my grandfather. It's our little haven, filled with love and the dreams of a future family. Jack and I were saving up, hoping to buy a bigger house someday. But for now, this place is our world. It's quaint, filled with memories of my childhood, and now of our life together. Then there's Jack's family. His parents, Mike and Susan, are decent folks. Mike's a bit stern, the kind who believes in hard work and responsibility. Susan, she's a sweetheart, always trying to smooth things over whenever there's a disagreement. But the real challenge in the family dynamic? That'd be Lily, Jack's younger sister. She's 24, living a life starkly different from ours. She doesn't work, spending her days hanging out with friends and living life at her own pace. Family dinners are often an interesting affair. Like this one Sunday, we were all gathered around the table at our house. Mike was in his usual form, lecturing Lily about getting a job. "Lily, you're 24. It's high time you started thinking about your future," Mike said sternly, barely looking up from his plate. Lily just scoffed. "Oh, come on, Dad. I'm doing just fine. Why rush life?" It was the usual script. Susan, ever the mediator, jumped in to defend her. "Mike, leave her be. She's still figuring things out." Mike's disapproval was palpable, but he let the topic drop. This was a recurring theme. Mike trying to push Lily towards independence, and Susan cushioning her fall every time. It's a tightrope walk in their household. Lily's relationship with work, or the lack thereof, wasn't just a topic at the dinner table. It was a family concern. And yet, there was this unsaid rule, not to push too hard, not to upset the delicate balance. Jack and I, we try to stay out of it. We've got our own plans, our own future to build. But sometimes, family issues have a way of spilling over, don't they? After that Sunday dinner, things started to change, slowly at first, then all at once. Lily began dropping by our house more often. Initially, it was just the odd visit here and there. But soon, it became a regular thing. Almost every other day, she'd show up. Sometimes even when Jack and I weren't home. I remember one afternoon, I was in the middle of baking when I heard the front door open. In walked Lily, as if she owned the place. "Hey, Emma," she greeted cheerfully, sauntering into the kitchen. "Smells good in here. What are you making?" I forced a smile. "Just some banana bread, for dessert tonight." Lily didn't seem to get the hint. She plopped down at the kitchen table, watching me. "Cool. I'll stick around for a bit if that's okay." It wasn't, not really. But what was I supposed to say? "Sure, Lily. Make yourself at home." The visits became more intrusive. Lily would help herself to food in the fridge, lounge on the sofa for hours, sometimes even borrow my clothes without asking. I tried to brush it off, told myself she was just being friendly in her own way. But one day, I reached my limit. I walked into the living room to find Lily sprawled on the couch, flipping through a photo album, one of our wedding albums. "Lily!" I couldn't hide my irritation. "That's private. Can't you ask before going through our things?" She looked up, seemingly unfazed. "Oh, relax, Emma. We're practically sisters. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine, right?" I sighed, trying to keep my composure. "That's not really how it works, Lily. There should be some boundaries, you know?" She just shrugged and went back to the album. I felt this wave of frustration, but I swallowed it down. No use arguing. Jack noticed the tension, too. One evening, after Lily had left, he found me sitting on the couch, lost in thought. "What's up, Em?" he asked, sitting down beside me. I looked at him, the words spilling out. "It's Lily. She's here all the time, going through our stuff. It's like we don't have any privacy anymore." Jack frowned. "I know, I've noticed. I'll talk to her, okay? She probably doesn't realize she's overstepping." I nodded, though I wasn't sure talking would help. Lily had this way of just brushing off any criticism, laughing it away like it was nothing. True to his word, Jack spoke to Lily a few days later. I wasn't there for the conversation, but he told me about it afterward. He said he'd been gentle but firm, explaining that while she was always welcome, she needed to respect our space and privacy. She took it well, Jack assured me. Said she didn't realize she was being a bother. She'll back off. I wanted to believe him, but there was a part of me that doubted things would change. And, as it turned out, I was right. The visits continued, and with them, the tension grew. It was like walking on eggshells in my own home, never knowing when Lily would pop up next. The situation with Lily escalated quicker than I expected. It was a Tuesday afternoon, one of those rare days when I had the house to myself. Or so I thought. I was upstairs, tidying up the guest room, when I heard a noise from our bedroom. My first thought was Jack had come home early, but a peek down the hall confirmed my worst suspicion. It was Lily. There she was, in our bedroom, rummaging through my dresser. My heart pounded with a mix of anger and disbelief as I watched her casually pull out my clothes, examining them as if she was in a store. "Lily, what the heck are you doing?" My voice was louder than I intended, echoing off the walls. She jumped, clearly not expecting to get caught. "Oh, Emma, it's just you. I was looking for something to wear tonight. You won't mind, right?" Mind? Of course, I minded. "Lily, this is not okay. You can't just go through my things like this. It's invasive and disrespectful." She rolled her eyes, a move that infuriated me further. "Calm down, Emma. It's not a big deal. I just wanted to borrow a dress." I felt my patience snap. "It is a big deal, Lily. This is my home, my privacy. You can't just barge in and take whatever you like." Her attitude was dismissive, almost mocking. "Geez, Emma, you're acting like I'm a thief or something. I'm just borrowing." I was about to respond when my phone rang. It was Jack. Taking a deep breath to calm my nerves, I answered, trying to sound normal. "Hey, Jack, what's up?" "Hey, Em, just checking in. How's your day going?" I glanced at Lily, who was still standing there, a defiant look on her face. "Not great, actually. We need to talk when you get home." After hanging up, I turned back to Lily. "You need to leave now, and don't take anything with you." She huffed, dropping the dress back into the drawer. "Fine, whatever. You're making a big deal out of nothing." As she stomped out of the room, I felt a mix of relief and frustration. This was more than just borrowing a dress. It was a total disregard for boundaries, and I knew it couldn't go on. That evening, when Jack came home, we had a long talk. I told him everything, not just about today, but about how Lily's behavior had been affecting me for weeks. Jack looked troubled. "I'm sorry, Em. I thought talking to her would help. I didn't realize how bad it was." "We need to do something, Jack. It's not just about the clothes or the food. It's about respect and privacy. She's crossing the line, and it's not fair to us." Jack nodded, his expression serious. "I'll talk to her again. I'll make it clear that she can't do this. If she doesn't listen, we'll have to limit her visits." Despite Jack's efforts to set things straight with Lily, our problems were far from over. In fact, they got worse. It started with small things: a missing pair of earrings, a scarf I couldn't find anywhere. At first, I thought I was just being forgetful, but then the evidence became too obvious to ignore. One evening, I was scrolling through social media when I saw a new post from Lily. There she was, grinning at the camera, wearing my missing scarf. My heart sank. It wasn't just forgetfulness. Lily was taking my things. "Jack, come look at this!" I called out, holding up my phone when he walked into the room. He leaned over, looking at the screen. "Isn't that your scarf?" "Yes, it is," I said, a bitter taste in my mouth. "She took it, Jack. She's been taking my things." Jack's face hardened. "I'll talk to her. This is crossing the line." The next day, Jack confronted Lily. I wasn't there, but he told me about it later. He said he was direct, showed her the photo, and asked about the scarf. Lily's response was as infuriating as it was predictable. "That scarf? Oh, I must have grabbed it by mistake. I have one just like it." Jack didn't buy it. "Lily, it's not just the scarf. Emma's noticed other things missing too. This needs to stop." Lily shrugged, all innocence. "I don't know what she's talking about. I haven't taken anything." It was a stalemate. Jack believed me, but Lily was in complete denial. What could we do? We had no proof, just a strong suspicion. The situation put a strain on our home life. I felt violated, unsafe even. My own home didn't feel like a sanctuary anymore. Every time I left a room, I wondered if something else would be missing when I returned. It wasn't long before another incident occurred. This time, it was a pair of sunglasses. I knew I had left them on the kitchen counter, but they were gone the next morning. And, as if on cue, Lily showed up later that day wearing a pair identical to mine. "Nice sunglasses," I commented, unable to keep the edge out of my voice. Lily looked at me, a smirk playing on her lips. "Thanks. Got them a while back. Pretty cool, right?" I didn't respond. What was the point? It was clear she wasn't going to admit to anything. Jack was as frustrated as I was. "I don't know what else we can do, Em. If she won't admit it, how can we stop her?" I didn't have an answer. We were stuck in this cycle of theft and denial, and it was wearing me down. I started hiding my valuables, locking doors I never used to lock. It felt ridiculous, but I didn't know what else to do. The thefts were bad enough, but what happened one Friday night took everything to a whole new level. Jack and I were curled up on the couch, watching a movie, trying to forget our troubles for a while. It was late, maybe around 11 p.m., when we heard a commotion outside. Loud voices, laughter, the sound of a car door slamming. My heart sank as I peeked out the window. There, in our driveway, was Lily, looking tipsy, with a group of her friends. They stumbled towards the door, and before we could react, they barged in. Lily was leading the pack, a drunken grin on her face. "Surprise!" she slurred, as her friends filed in behind her, loud and unruly. Jack stood up, his expression a mix of anger and disbelief. "Lily, what the hell? It's almost midnight!" Lily just giggled, swaying slightly. "Chill, bro. We just wanted to hang out, have some fun." Her friends were already making themselves at home, one of them heading to the fridge, another cranking up the music on their phone. I felt a surge of frustration. "This is not okay, Lily. You can't just show up like this, especially not this late." Lily waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, come on, Emma. Loosen up a bit. We're just having a little fun." Jack's patience snapped. He marched over to the group at the fridge. "No, Lily, you need to leave. Now. This is our home, and you're disrespecting it." One of Lily's friends, a tall guy with a loud laugh, piped up. "Hey man, no need to be a buzzkill. We're just partying a bit." Jack was seething. "I don't care. Get out, or I'm calling the police." The atmosphere shifted from rowdy to tense. Lily looked at Jack, her expression sobering a bit. "You wouldn't call the cops on your own sister, would you?" Jack didn't waver. "Try me. This is the last straw, Lily." There was a moment of standoff, then Lily sighed dramatically. "Fine, we're leaving. You're such a killjoy, Jack." As they filed out, the relief was palpable. Jack locked the door behind them and turned to me, his face a mixture of anger and worry. "I'm sorry, Em. I had no idea she would do something like this." I just nodded, feeling emotionally drained. "It's not your fault, Jack, but this can't go on. She's out of control." The incident at our home was a wake-up call. We knew we couldn't let Lily's behavior slide anymore, but before we could figure out what to do next, something unexpected happened. My dad, a police officer, decided to visit us for a few days. He had always been my rock, and I was grateful for his presence, especially now. He arrived on a Thursday, his old duffel bag in hand, and a reassuring smile on his face. "Hey, Pumpkin," he greeted me, giving me a firm hug. "Thought I'd drop by and spend some time with my favorite daughter." I smiled, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. "I'm your only daughter, Dad, but I'm glad you're here." The only unpleasant moment is Lily, who ran in for a minute, asking to go to the toilet. After a moment's thought, I let her into the house, not wanting to make a scandal in front of Dad. Dad was a man of few words, but his presence alone made me feel safer. He had a way of bringing calm to any storm. That evening, we had a quiet dinner, and I could tell Jack felt more at ease too. The next morning, things took a turn. Dad usually kept his wallet and a few personal items in a small pouch he carried. But when he went to grab his wallet, his brow furrowed in confusion. "That's odd," he muttered, searching through his pouch. "I could have sworn I had my card in here." Jack and I exchanged a look. "What's wrong, Dad?" I asked, a sinking feeling in my stomach. "My bank card, it's missing." He sounded more puzzled than worried. We immediately called the bank and blocked the card. Just then, my phone rang. It was Lily. Her voice was loud and slurred, the sound of music and chatter in the background. "Emma, why the hell did you block the card? I can't withdraw any money." My heart stopped. "What are you talking about, Lily?" "The card, Emma. The one I took from your room. I was using it to buy drinks, and now it's blocked." I felt a mix of anger and shock. "Lily, that wasn't my card. It was my dad's. He's a police officer, for God's sake." There was a pause, and then a nervous laugh from Lily. "You're joking, right? That's not funny, Emma." "Dad, she took your card," I said, turning to my father, who was now listening intently. He took the phone from me. "Lily, this is Officer Williams. You need to return my card immediately, or there will be consequences." There was a moment of silence. Then the line went dead. Dad looked at us, his expression grave. "I'll have to report this. It's a serious matter." Jack put his hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry, Dad. We had no idea she would do something like this." Dad just nodded, his face stern. "I'll handle it from here. Don't worry." The reality of the situation hit me hard. Lily had stolen a police officer's card. This was no longer just a family issue. It was a legal one. I felt a mix of emotions: anger, disbelief, worry. What would happen to Lily now? This was a mess that she had created, and now we were all caught in it. The situation escalated quickly after Lily hung up the phone. Dad immediately got in touch with his colleagues at the station to report the stolen card. He was calm and professional, but I could tell he was upset. "I never thought I'd be filing a report against my own daughter-in-law's sister," he said, shaking his head. "But we need to follow procedure." Jack and I sat in the living room, feeling a mix of anxiety and disbelief. It wasn't long before we heard a knock on the door. It was 2 police officers, Dad's colleagues, who had come to take a statement. As they were wrapping up, another call came in. It was Susan, Jack's mom, her voice frantic. "Emma, what's this I hear about Lily and a stolen card? Tell me it's not true." Jack took the phone, his voice strained. "Mom, it's true. Lily took Dad's bank card and used it. The police are involved now." Susan sounded on the verge of tears. "But she's family. Can't you just let it go? She made a mistake." Jack replied firmly. "Mom, it's out of our hands. Dad's a police officer. This is serious." The situation reached its peak later that evening at the police station. Jack, Susan, Mike, Dad, and I were all there. Lily was in one of the interview rooms, looking small and scared. Mike was the first to break the silence. "I can't believe she would do something like this. We've tried to raise her right." Susan was defensive. "She's just a child. She didn't mean any harm." Dad spoke up, his tone even but firm. "Stealing is serious, especially from a law enforcement officer. It's not just a family matter anymore." We were all waiting when Lily came out, accompanied by an officer. Her usual bravado was gone. She looked at us, her eyes welling up with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't think it would be a big deal." Dad stepped forward. "Lily, you need to understand the gravity of what you've done. This isn't just a simple mistake." Susan rushed to Lily, hugging her. "It's okay, baby. We'll sort this out." But Mike had had enough. "No, Susan. This is where we draw the line. She needs to learn." The officer cleared his throat. "We can proceed with charges, or if the cardholder wishes, he can decide not to press charges this time." Dad looked at me and Jack, then at Lily. "I won't press charges, but this is your last chance, Lily. Any more trouble, and it's out of my hands." Lily nodded, sniffling. "I promise. No more trouble." The incident with the stolen card wasn't just a passing storm in our lives. It left lasting changes in its wake. After Dad discovered the amount Lily had spent with his card, Mike, Jack's father, had no choice but to cover the expenses. It was a hefty sum, and the tension it caused within the family was palpable. We gathered at Mike and Susan's house for what was supposed to be a regular family dinner. But the atmosphere was anything but normal. Mike sat at the head of the table, his expression stern and resolute. "Lily, I've paid back the money you took from Emma's father," Mike began, his voice heavy with disappointment. "But I want you to understand, this doesn't end here. You need to find a job and pay me back every penny." Lily, who had been quiet until then, suddenly erupted. "Pay you back? That's ridiculous. I can't believe you're doing this to me." Mike was unyielding. "It's time you learned to take responsibility for your actions. I'm not giving you any more money." The declaration seemed to push Lily over the edge. She stood up, knocking her chair back. "Fine! If that's how you want it, I'm leaving. I don't need any of you." The room fell silent as Lily stormed out. Susan, tears streaming down her face, stood up to follow her daughter. "How could you, Mike? She's our daughter." Mike's response was firm, yet tinged with sadness. "She needs to learn, Susan. We can't keep shielding her from the consequences of her actions." With a final sob, Susan left the room, leaving a heavy silence behind. In the months that followed, the family dynamic shifted dramatically. Susan and Lily moved out, renting a small apartment. Mike, though heartbroken, stood by his decision, believing it was for the best. Jack and I watched from the sidelines, hoping that Lily would come to her senses. However, occasional glances at her social media profiles told a different story. Pictures of nights out, new clothes, and the same carefree attitude. It seemed Lily hadn't learned much from the ordeal. As for Jack and me, the whole experience brought us closer. We learned the importance of setting boundaries and the value of standing up for what's right, even when it's tough. Our home became our sanctuary once again, a place of peace and respect. Looking back, I realized that every family faces its trials. Ours was a difficult one, filled with tough love and hard decisions. But through it all, we learned valuable lessons about responsibility, respect, and the sometimes painful process of growing up.